بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. I ask Allah Ta'ala to grant us all the sincere intention and the good comprehension. Allahumma ameen. May Allah increase us all in goodness and protect us. Allahumma ameen. What we are going to go over now, it includes judgments of starting a cassette tape, a compact disc CD, a DVD for example, a camera, a video, television, and whatever is like that, like the photocopier, a printer, and the like. If blasphemy, al-kufr, appears by initiating it. So there is a question and then there's an answer. So the question is, if a person knew that a specific cassette tape produces blasphemy, kufr, by playing it in the machine, is it permissible for the person to play it without a citation, adatul hikaya, or not? Also, what is the judgment if the device is a computer, a television, or what is similar to that? The answer is, praise and thanks are due to Allah, the Lord of all the creation, and may Allah raise the rank of our Master Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and protect his nation from that which he feared for them. Thereafter, if a blasphemous expression is in a book and then a person opened the book to look with his eyes at this expression without reading it aloud with his tongue, meaning without initiating any new blasphemy. So he didn't read it out loud, rather he opened the book to look at it and it's already existing in the book. Then he does not need to mention a quoting statement. He does not have to cite the blasphemy before doing this. Yani, before opening the book and looking with his eyes at a statement of blasphemy, he does not have to say a quoting statement. Why? That is because by his opening the book, he is not writing blasphemy. And he is not initiating blasphemy, meaning he is not producing blasphemy. His doing is merely looking at what was written by someone else. However, if a person photocopies blasphemous speech with the device that is called the photocopier, or whatever is like that, like a printer, a camera, or the like, without using a citation, without using a quoting statement, then the person falls into al-kufr, meaning they would not be judged as a Muslim. This is while the person knows the meaning of the blasphemous words, meaning he understands what it says. He knows the meaning. And he knows that they are there, even if he does not know that the judgment it leads to is blasphemy. We're not saying he has to know that it is blasphemy for him to do this. No. We're saying that he has to understand what is written. He might not know that what he's doing leads to blasphemy, or what is written there, the judgment of it is blasphemy. but he knows what is written. He understands it. Like if it said, Jesus is the Son of God. If a person photocopies this on a paper, there's no citation, there's no quoting statement, then even if the person did not know that this statement is blasphemy, or they did not know that photocopying it is blasphemy, printing it is blasphemy, if he photocopies it while knowing what it says, he is producing new blasphemy, which is kufr in itself. So the person would fall into kufr in this situation. Likewise is the judgment of a photographic device from which the image of blasphemous writing is generated when initiating the device, meaning when you turn on the device. So if a person knew, for example, that if they turned on that computer, on the screen, kufr is going to appear, a statement of kufr, or some kufr speech. If they knew that this would happen, and they still turned it on without using a citation, like to say the person's name who said it, for example, and to say like so-and-so said, and then to turn it on, without doing that, if they just pressed the button to turn it on, and that blasphemy appeared on the screen, and they knew that this was going to happen, they would fall into kufr. The person would fall into al-kufr. Equally, the same judgment also applies if one copies blasphemous speech, kufr speech, from a book with his own handwriting without citation. He blasphemes. He falls into al-kufr, even if he imitates another person's handwriting with his handwriting. And that is because the person, by them copying the kufr with their hand, without using a citation, they are producing it now. They are the ones writing it, without saying the kuffar said, or Ibn Taymiyyah said, for example, or those who liken Allah to the creations say. This person is producing it from themselves. Now, they're the ones handwriting it, and they did not use a quoting statement or a citation. Likewise is the case if the person speaks blasphemous talk, if they say something which is kufr without a citation. They blaspheme. They commit kufr even if the person changes his voice to imitate the voice of another person. So the person either knows that blasphemy is going to be generated, is going to come up by his act, by what he did, or he does not know. If he knows that blasphemy is going to come up, it's going to be generated, it's going to appear by him doing something, and he does not state a quoting statement or a citation before generating this blasphemy, then he blasphemes. Now, if the person did not know that blasphemy would be generated by initiating any of these devices, then he does not blaspheme. So the issue comes down to knowing that blasphemy will be generated. If one does not know that blasphemy will appear, that blasphemy will be generated, then the person would not blaspheme for not using a quoting statement. Now, some people, they like to be extra safe, so they make it a habit to always start with a quoting statement. Yani before they play anything, they say, it might be said. How in reality are they being extra safe? Because if they don't know that blasphemy is going to show up, they are not charged with blasphemy. If you don't know that there is blasphemy and you press play, for example, or you start something and you don't know that blasphemy is going to show up, and then it shows up, you're not charged with kufr because you didn't know. And so how would that actually make any difference in this situation? Is that understood? If the person knew, then they have to say the quoting statement beforehand, before playing it or before initiating it. Now, according to the rules that we have just mentioned, opening a computer file also has the same judgment, as well as pressing play on a cassette tape or playing compact discs, CDs, and whatever is similar to them, an Mp3 or something like that. Now, in this issue, there are two cases, and we're going to mention both cases. So listen carefully. The first case is the case of the one who believes that as a result of pressing play or pressing a button or turning something on, etc., as a result of doing that, initiating something, pressing play, they believe that blasphemy will take place without that blasphemous statement having been previously existent. So there are two cases here. This is what some people believe. This is one of those cases. Some people believe that if they press play on something like that has kufr in it, they believe that the blasphemy will take place without it having been previously existent. Like it wasn't existing before in that CD, or it wasn't existing before in that cassette tape, or whatever is like that Mp3. So they have the belief that I know this CD has kufr in it, and I believe that if I press play, that kufr will show up. And so they believe that they would be generating that blasphemy if they pressed play or if they initiated it. If this is the person's belief, if this is the person's conviction, that no blasphemy existed before pressing play, then in this situation, this person must use a citation before turning it on, if he wants to escape from falling into al-kufr, blasphemy. This is because the person does not believe that the sound is already existing and already contained inside of that computer or that cassette, whatever it was. He does not believe that the device that he's turning on or initiating, he doesn't believe that this device is like a locker that contains the blasphemous words. Like how a book contains blasphemous words, how we explained earlier. He doesn't believe it's like that. he actually holds the belief that if he presses play, that's when the blasphemy shows up. Not that it's already existing in there, like the case of a book. He does not believe that the computer already has the blasphemous writing in it. Rather, his conviction in this case is that he is initiating the blasphemy, the kufr, by his doing. In this case, he needs to say, "It might be said," or any valid citation. So this is a valid citation for one to say, "It might be said," and then they press play. They would be protected from falling into blasphemy. His belief is that what exists in this device is merely codes and signals, and that his doing is what actually generates the blasphemy. Is this clear up to here? You want me to repeat the whole thing? The whole first case? The last part of it? So, you understand the situation though, right? That this person, they actually believe, and many people are like this, as we will mention right now, yani. This is how many people are when it comes to these matters. They believe that the blasphemy was not existing before them pressing play. Like, let's say, for example, a person had a CD, for example, and it had a track on it that has explicit kufr mentioned. You know how some people listen to music and they know that there's a track on there, there's a song on there that had kufr in it, for example. By them pressing play, they believe that they are the ones making that appear, generating it, because they don't believe that the case of this track or this CD, let's say this CD or this MP3, is like the book. They don't believe it's like the book, which, for example, if there was something written in the book that was kufr, it's already there, it's existing. And that's why, in order to open it and look at it, you don't need to say a citation. They don't believe it's like that. They believe that when it comes to a computer or your phone or your MP3 or a CD player or something like that, they believe that once they hit play or initiate it or they start it, that's when the blasphemy comes up. So because that's their belief, they have to say a quoting statement before pressing play, while knowing that kufr is going to show up. So they need to say something like, "It might be said," to protect themselves from falling into al-kufr. Is that clear? Alright, alhamdulillah, you're welcome. And that is because their belief, this person's belief, is that what exists in this device, whatever that device may be, is merely codes and signals. It's not the actual blasphemy that shows up. They believe that it's just codes, like a bunch of zeros and ones, for example. And they believe that his doing of starting it or playing it or initiating it is what generates the blasphemy. And so, of course, because that's their belief, they have to say, "It might be said," before pressing play, or another valid citation. It doesn't have to exactly be "it might be said." They can say something else, which is valid. But this is one that I'm mentioning to you so you have something that you can work with at least, to say "it might be said." Now, according to what we have just said, now, according to the person's conviction that the blasphemy is not existing in the device, before he initiates the device, if this person now wants to record, that is duplicate, a cassette tape, a computer file, etc., without sound, without playing it, meaning that you're duplicating a file, or transferring a file from one location to another, or from one computer to another without sound, then this person does not need to cite it. He does not need a citation because he believes that he's only transferring codes and signals. Is that clear? Okay. That's the first case. Now we will move on to the second case. The second case is for him to believe that the blasphemous expression, the kufr expression, already exists in the device. It is already contained and locked in the cassette tape, or in the CD, or in the Mp3 before pressing play. He believes it is already contained in there, locked away, like a closed book that contains blasphemy. You see why we started with that situation? Because it clarifies both of these. So in this case, when he presses play or he turns it on, he believes that his doing only made him encounter what was already existing. But he does not believe that he generated the kufr that was not already existing. He doesn't believe that. Instead, to him, turning this device on or pressing play is like opening a book to see what was already existing inside of it. So he does not blaspheme in this case if he presses play without saying a citation, without saying it might be said. Furthermore, in this case, if he wants to record, duplicate this blasphemy on the device to another device, then he needs a religiously valid citation. Why? Because he believes the blasphemy exists. So he can't just move that file to another computer like that. He can't. Not like the other person who believes that it's just codes in there and signals. No, this person believes the blasphemy already exists. So yeah, to play it, he doesn't need a quoting statement because he believes it's already there, similar to the book that has some blasphemous speech in it. However, in order for him to duplicate this track or this Mp3 or this CD now, he has to say it might be said or another valid quoting statement to protect himself from falling into kufr, because he believes, he holds the conviction that it's already existing. And so if he duplicates it, he's generating it. He's generating a new one. That's his belief. So he has to say the quoting statement to protect himself from falling into al-kufr. And this is whether that was a sound or a writing. He believes that he's the one initiating this blasphemy, whether it was a sound or a writing. So an example of something he can say is, now I record the misguidance of so-and-so. Is this clear up to here? So as you can see, the judgment of this act is built upon the person's conviction. It's what that person believes. So we should not rush to charge a person with kufr, with blasphemy, who someone who initiated a device without a quoting statement, and then blasphemy came out. However, in reality, the people who are knowledgeable of these devices, they said that there is no sound contained in them. There is no sound that's already existing in these machines. And there is no writing that is already existing in these machines. Instead, in these machines are codes, signs, and signals. Yani, what comes out of these machines, whether that is writing or sounds, is actually the result of codes, signs, and signals. And this is what Shaykh Abdullah rahimahullah ta'ala was last upon. This is what he believed, that these devices contain only codes, signs, and signals. Hence, if a person wants to play a cassette tape or a CD or the computer or something like that, in a way that because of playing it, a blasphemous expression is generated, whether it was a sound or writing, without a citation along with it, so it didn't have a citation when it came up, and we do not know the person's conviction in this issue. We don't know what they believe actually of those two cases that we mentioned. Then we would advise them to produce a citation. That's what we would do. As for his judgment, whether he blasphemes or not, this would depend on the aforementioned details that we stated. It would go back to the aforementioned details. Now, on the other hand, we mentioned that opening a book does not generate the blasphemy in it, since it was already existent. Also, some of these things are already cited. They already have a citation, like a movie. If the movie is watched from the beginning, they take all of the credit for it, right? In the beginning of the movie, and even at the end. And even at the end, they take credit for this movie. So this is sufficient for the one who plays the movie from the beginning like that. Also, the URL. We were taught that the URL is considered like a quoting statement because they are telling you who is producing this page or website. However, if the person is generating it, then he needs to say it was said. Yani, if it was something that the person is generating and it doesn't have a citation, he has to say it was said, for example, or it might be said, or else the angels will write it down as his own words. Also, if a person is copy and pasting blasphemy, they must use a quoting statement. Allah knows best how many people fall into mas'alas, into cases like this, because they didn't learn properly. May Allah have mercy upon us, and protect our teachers, and have mercy upon Shaykh Abdullah, who spread this. He is the renewer of this era without a doubt. Yani, he is Mujaddidul Asr. If a person goes to see a movie, for example, he did not initiate that movie in the movie theater. So he does not have to say, it might be said, because it was initiated by someone else. So, for a person to merely witness blasphemy is not blasphemy. as long as the person does not approve of it. It is as if he walks into a room and the radio is saying some blasphemy. This person who did not initiate that does not have to say a quoting statement. The person needs to have a valid quoting statement when uttering blasphemy or writing it. It is not enough to just have the intention in the heart. That is not enough. Allah the Exalted revealed, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. That there is not any statement or anything that is uttered except that Raqib and Atid, these two angels, they write it down, they document it. And in the hereafter, the person will be accountable for everything they said. In reference to the television, it seems that there is no one that believes that the writing that appears on the screen existed previously inside of the TV before turning it on. According to this, whoever believes that when he turns the TV on, a blasphemous expression will appear, something kufr will appear, a kufr expression will appear, written on the screen, but without any citation, then to escape blasphemy, the person must say a valid citation when he turns it on. Yani, he says it and then he turns it on. And a valid citation that would at times be shown on the screen, such as the name of the broadcasting station, which appears sometimes on the corner of the screen. Not the initials, not like CNN or NBC. No, not the initials of a channel, the actual name. Like if it says Fox News, for example, this is the actual name. But if it's the initials, that does not suffice. That's not enough as a citation. It has to be the name of the broadcasting station. As for the person who believes that when he turns on the TV or a video, that the image of a person who is speaking blasphemy will appear, and in that case, he did not use a valid quoting statement, then he does not commit blasphemy, because it is as if the image of the person talking is in itself an expression of the one saying the blasphemy. So it's like a citation in itself. Now, listen carefully. This is if it is a moving picture, not a still picture. So a still picture does not count as a quoting statement. And this also excludes cartoons. And also, if someone was watching a film like a Japanese or Chinese film, for example, or a Korean film, where they dubbed the language, where they changed the language from whatever it was to English, for example, they did a voiceover, then if one knows that there will be blasphemy, they must say a quoting statement before playing it. Because here, the picture, this moving picture, is not really an indication of the speaker. This moving picture is not really an indication of the speaker, since they switched it from the original language of the people in the video. This is the same when having subtitles, for example. This moving picture is not a citation for the subtitles. So if one knew that blasphemy was going to appear in the subtitles, they must say a quoting statement. Now, if the person turns it on, but they forgot that there will be blasphemy, they forgot, and then the blasphemy appeared, they do not blaspheme, because they didn't know that blasphemy was going to show up. Likewise is the judgment of the one who duplicates the image from a book by way of the photocopier or the like. And he started by duplicating an image of the front cover, which has a title, an author, etc. And then he photocopies pages that have blasphemy. This person does not blaspheme. As well, if he duplicates a book that has blasphemy in it, without starting from the first page, however, the top of the page has the title of the book written or the name of the author. And he duplicated it like that, with the title of the book on that page or the name of the author. He does not blaspheme. So, Sheikh Tariq al-Laham was asked about this as well. He was asked, we said that on top of the pages of a book, the name of the book is written. We said that this is considered Adatul Hikaya, a citation, a tool of narration. But what if it was the name of the author? Sheikh Tariq said, also, that is Adatul Hikaya, yani a tool of narration, a citation. The questioner said, but the name of the author is written without it saying that so-and-so said. He answered, even if. So if the name of the author is written on every page, it is considered Adatul Hikaya, a tool of narration. Why? Because what is intended by mentioning his name on every page is that everything on that page is the saying of the author. Otherwise, why would it have mentioned his name? The same is the case if someone duplicates the image of an identification card of a blasphemer, of a kafir. But on top of the card, it says that he is a Muslim. He does not blaspheme because what is on the card is in reference to what exists in the government records. And we will explain this. Say, for example, a person photocopied a visa card, a nationality card, of someone who was an apostate, a murtad. Yani they were a Muslim and then they left al-Islam. They're considered an apostate. Even if they left al-Islam without intending to, they are still considered an apostate. And it says on this card that someone photocopied Muslim about this person. Then what is written on top is considered Adatul Hikaya, a tool of narration. They write Al-Jumhuriyya Al-Lubnaniyya, for example. The Lebanese government, for example, or the American government, or the British government. They write something like this. This is considered a tool of narration. The government usually issues these cards, or these visas, and so on. They issue them, and it might be written on one of them that someone is a Muslim for a person who is actually an apostate. Now, you cannot photocopy it if it did not have the tool of narration. You need the tool of narration there. And usually they have them. They would say like the Lebanese government, for example. It would be written on this card, and this would be considered a tool of narration. Why? Because it means that according to the government, in their records, this person is a Muslim. It does not mean that he is in reality a Muslim. So this is considered a citation, or adatul hikaya, a tool of narration. And when we said that the person needs to come with a citation, it is not necessary that this would be an uttered word with his tongue. Rather, it is also valid to be written as long as it had a proper intention when it was written. And Allah, the Exalted, knows best. This information that we went over is not something new that the sheikhs came up with after Sheikh Abdullah died. Rather, it was documented and compiled by students of the sheikh from information that the sheikh had been teaching them for years, and answers that he gave in different situations for years. It is the result of teamwork and following the footsteps of the students of the great Imam who worked together after the death of their Imam to spread his knowledge and benefit the people. So if everything was clear, then inshallah we'll stop here. If anyone needs me to repeat anything that we went over today, please let me know. It's good for whoever really understands this, mashallah. They can protect themselves, their family members, their loved ones. Yeah, mashallah. You said the more we learn and review the rules of the religion, the more we benefit. Alhamdulillah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك